Extremely painful injuries are a reality of professional football because the intensity, dedication and passion that fans and players alike bring to the game is unmatched. Some of the injuries that sport has given us are particularly traumatic because of the emotional toll they take on the athletes. Playing in a game can be the best or worst thing that ever happens to an athlete. A lot of footballers get called soft, but there are those who have played through excruciating pain to finish the game or the season. Hello and welcome to Goalside. In today's video, we'll talk about 7 football players who kept playing even though they were hurt. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the post notifications. So without wasting any time, let's dive right into the video. Bastian Schweinsteiger. The great midfielder was an essential cog in the Bayern Munich machine that won the Champions League, Bundesliga and German Cup in 2012-13. However, what is less well known is that the former German international never disclosed that he was playing through the season with a fairly serious ankle injury because he did not want to miss any important matches for the Bavarian side that year. It was not until after the season that it was disclosed that he would need surgery to fix the damaged ankle. He never spoke a word about the terrible severity of the injury, and it wasn't until then that it was revealed that he would need surgery. Perhaps this helps to explain why it was so challenging for him to get back to full health for his next team, Manchester United. Paul Ince. Paul Ince famously led the Three Lions into Italy in a World Cup qualifier in 1998 when they needed 1 point to qualify for the World Cup. The Three Lions ultimately qualified for the World Cup thanks to Ince's leadership. During the first half of the match, the captain of England had a knock to the head that required medical care. However, he was back on the field in no time with bandages covering his skull. The bandages that were on Ince's head began to fall off as the game went on, and by the time it was through, he had a major gash on his skull, which caused his jersey to get soaked in blood. The England team was able to get the result they needed and qualified for the World Cup thanks to his leadership and bravery in continuing to play despite suffering an injury. Vincent Kompany. The Belgian international, who was one of Manchester City's most vital defenders, was singled out for criticism due to his propensity to sustain a high number of injuries. In point of fact, he's unquestionably one of the football players in the entire history of the club who has sustained the most injuries. The fact that the Belgian won 3 Premier League titles in such a short amount of time, just 8 years, makes him one of the most decorated defenders in the league, despite the fact that that information comes to light. The football player once played a full game despite having a broken nose, a concussion, and to make matters worse, a damaged eye socket. This is a little known truth about the athlete. Kompany appeared to have been thrown through a wood chipper after Belgium's play against Serbia in 2013, but his commitment and love for the game kept him on the field, and he made sure that he did finish the match as their captain. Martin Palermo. During the 2000 Copa Libertadores quarter-final match between rival teams River Plate and Boca Juniors, the all-time leading scorer for Boca Juniors added to his legendary position by scoring 2 goals. Palermo was not even close to being ready to play in the game due to an injury to his anterior cruciate ligament that had kept him out of action for the previous 6 months prior to the contest. In spite of the injury, he was replaced by another player with 15 minutes still left in the game. The former Argentine international scored the goal that ultimately won the game for his team and advanced them to the semi-finals. He was hailed as the hero of the match. Stuart Pearce. In the annals of football lore, Fierce Pearce, as he's always referred to, is widely regarded as having been one of the most passionate football players ever to have played the game. Back in the 1980s, the legendary defender for Nottingham Forest was among the most feared players on the defensive side of the ball. Because of his talents at centre-back, he was able to acquire some of the most prestigious honours, both as an individual and as a member of the team. The media dubbed him the Psycho, and he was known as one of the most intense sportsmen in the world. He's responsible for something that's completely incredible. During the first half of a match for West Ham United, Pearce ended up fracturing his leg and having to be taken to hospital. Pearce was unlike any other football player because he chose to continue playing in the second half, even though he should have gone to the hospital like the other players. Pearce broke the same leg again 6 months later, but he refused to be carried off on a stretcher. After relacing his boots, he was geared up and ready to go. I, myself, was not able to avoid such a serious injury. Harry Redknapp, speaking on how despite suffering a fractured leg, Pearce wanted to continue playing. Cesc Fabregas. As one of the most influential players in the history of the Premier League, Cesc Fabregas needs no introduction at all. The Spaniard began his professional career with Arsenal at the relatively young age of 17, and because of his skill as a playmaker in the middle of the field, he was given the opportunity to captain the team at the Emirates, which made him one of the youngest captains in the annals of the sport. However, the 2009-10 UEFA Champions League quarter-finals truly showed how strong this Spanish midfielder can actually be. Although Fabregas claimed to have broken his foot somewhere at the beginning of the first half, the Spaniard ended up scoring a penalty, despite sustaining a career-threatening injury. This demonstrated how strong the Spanish midfielder can actually be. In addition, Fabregas claimed that he was uncertain as to whether his leg fractured in the prior match against Birmingham or in this particular fixture. Fabregas mentioned that he was playing against Birmingham. Fabregas remained on the field all the way through the second half before being replaced. Ronaldo, of Brazil, experienced seizures before the game. The player who once won the Ballon d'Or had a remarkable career not only with his national team, but also with clubs such as Inter Milan, Real Madrid, and Barcelona. He was part of all three of those teams. He has been compared to football greats like Pelé and Marco van Basten as a result of his prowess as a world-class striker, which has earned him some of the most renowned comparisons possible. The striker who won the World Cup made it his mission to deliver each and every time he stepped foot onto the field of play. He was known as one of the most feared players of his generation. However, a truth that isn't widely known is that the Brazilian legend apparently had a fit just hours before the final match of the 1998 World Cup, which caused froth to come out of his lips. This event took place shortly before the match. Although the doctors advised against his playing, he nonetheless competed in the championship match because his enthusiasm for the game shone through in everything he did. Despite the fact that they were ultimately unsuccessful, the Seleção did manage to retaliate to the French team 4 years later. As was indicated previously, he was not given clearance to play, and as a consequence of this fact, a great deal of controversy arose in the media, with reports claiming that Nike coerced the Brazilian into playing. On the other hand, Ronaldo and Nike have both dismissed all of the rumours. What do you think about these 7 players who, on being injured, tried their best to give their performance with their team? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.